I'm Whitney Taylor, Chairwoman of the Committee for Sensible Marijuana Policy.
And you are?
And I'm Bob Meenan. I'm Dean of the School of Public Health at Boston University.
What Question 2 will do is create a civil penalty system instead of the current criminal penalty system for personal possession of less than an ounce of marijuana. Marijuana remains illegal, so all we're doing is changing the way that people are punished for what is now a crime, what we hope will be an offense. And in doing so, individuals who are punished for this, what we hope to be an offense, we believe that punishment will fit the offense better than it currently does. Under current law, people can get up to 6 months in jail and a $500 fine. So, regardless of what happens on the ground, at any time that can be what is imposed against somebody on this. In reality, we know that people really aren't going to jail for this offense, but I hate never saying never, because as soon as you say never about something, that's when you're proven wrong.
To be correct, that is,
okay.
People don't go to jail for a first offense possession of a small amount of marijuana.
Right, that's minimum sentencing.
There is, it can happen for repeat offenders. It does happen.
So what does definitely happen in any type of sentencing situation, no matter what happens with the disposition of the case, whether or not the person is diverted, if the person is found guilty, if the person is actually acquitted, upon arrest and booking, these individuals get a CORI, a Criminal Offender Record Information Report. Now, the CORI is different than the criminal record, because a criminal record can be sealed or not created or any of those myriad of things that can happen in the courts, but a CORI exists. And what happens is, if somebody goes to apply for a job or get housing or wants to become a foster parent or an adoptive parent or certain professions, the fact that that piece of paper exists is the barrier. For example, when we, and I guess I'm going off on two different areas here. For adults, what we're proposing in question 2, over the age of 18, marijuana remains illegal, so the marijuana is confiscated, the individual is given a citation and sent on his way, the police officer stays on the street. One of the things that we've also seen with this is Dr. Jeffrey Meyer, a Harvard economist, has put together an economic model that has been looked at and actually endorsed by over 500 economists nationally, including 3 Nobel laureates. They actually believe his numbers are conservative. I don't mind using conservative numbers because it's still pretty outrageous to me. We're spending $29.5 million a year.
How do you come to that?
Well, I've included Jeff's report in here because I'm not an economist. But what he looks at is the cost of the police officer arresting that person, putting him in the car. That police officer is off the street. They bring them down to the station. There's the whole booking process. There's then the arraignment process and the court and how they are involved with that. So that is how he's looking at it. And so those funds, when he's talking about savings, actually don't include any sort of estimates for jail time or anything, or if somebody actually goes through the courts for more than just an arraignment hearing, it does not bring into account any probation costs that would be incurred by anybody placed on probation. So what we're saying is for adults, that's what happens. For young people, under question 2, the marijuana is confiscated. The citation must be delivered to a parent or guardian. So immediately the family is brought in. They're not focusing on, do we need a lawyer? Do we need to deal with the court system? Do we have a hearing date? They're looking at that young person going, why'd you break the law and why were you using marijuana? In addition, young people must complete a drug education awareness course that is at least 4 hours long, that has been approved by DYS. And in addition to that, they have to do at least 10 hours of community service.
Isn't that less than what's on the books now?
No.
There's no requirement for the mandatory educational stuff, and there's no requirement for community service. There's a discretionary piece.
Right?
Yeah, again, from the
diversion
program. For the juvenile piece is a piece that I in particular focus on. I'm not really a Boston lawyer, I'm really a Quincy lawyer. I still represent kids, I still represent families with kids. And what I see happen all the time is that this offense, which I think of as not a criminal act, I think of it as in many instances a rite of passage in some senses. I don't think it's a whole lot different than kids who have a case of beer or whatever. That they get put into the criminal justice system where they don't belong, and they end up with records that are permanent records that follow through with them the rest of their lives, that do interfere with them entering into the mainstream.
And one of the underlying principles of public health really is what's been called harm reduction, but it's really a balancing issue. And so when I look at the philosophy of public health, what conditions can people be healthy under, and what are the balancing issues of plus and minuses, I come to this, and I have a very clear view of it, that the current marijuana laws produce substantial negative conditions for people to be healthy. Whether it's a young adult, anybody with a Corey record, increasingly is not able to live their life in conditions in which they can be healthy. They have such limited access, such limitations on their access to anything from student loans. You can't adopt, you can't be a foster parent, you can't pursue certain kinds of professions because you're excluded from professional licenses. That's by definition not a healthy set of conditions for you to live your life, right? So there are substantial negative impacts from this, primarily related to Corey. The flip side is looking at what are the downsides, and this is what Whitney was talking about before. I mean, rational public health policy should be based on evidence. There are no downsides. The 11 states that have done it, all the surveys that have been done, the kind of proposal that Question 2, or the kind of change in the law that Question 2 would bring about, has been shown not to have any impact on usage rates, on crime, etc.